Good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to all online as well as physically present before me to this 10th study circle meeting. Today, we shall be discussing threadbare, the latest internal circular 1A issued by the GST department regarding refund applications under the inverted duty structure, which may be slightly chaotic to deal with, but financially very vital for clients whose input tax credit is always higher than the output tax liability due to the trade difference. Let's be very honest. Asking the tax for a Asking the government for a tax refund is a bit like asking a young teenager to clear their room. You know, technically, it's your right to see that it happens, but the process involves a lot of back and forth, missing documents, submissions, and a fair amount of frustration when actually you face rejection at the end of it. The nuances of internal of inverted duty structure remain one of the most complex area of GST law. The formula looks very simple. Net ITC into TO of inverted rate supply upon adjusted total turnover. But the department has lots and lots of objections. Today's session is by one of our experts in the field, CA Deepali Mehta, who will decode the impact of the circular on credit accumulation as well as clarify the nuances of input versus input services in context of recent judicial precedents and share practical tips to ensure the refund applications under this particular scheme of inverted duty structure goes through without any deficiency memo. To conclude, a learned scholar once said, a fine is a tax for doing wrong, and a tax is a fine for doing well. So, friends, let's make sure our clients at least get their fine back when they are entitled to it. Thank you, everyone. One more announcement in continuation of this, we are going to hold a joint workshop on refunds jointly with 6 tax associations, which will be specifically for the aspect of refunds. All the details will be taken care of. In full details, it will be discussed. Please stay tuned for updation. Tentatively, it should be in the second week of June. I now request my president for his opening remarks.
Good afternoon, one and all. Ajay, if tax is if tax means you are fine, I hope all of you are tax. uh, Good afternoon, everyone. Well, this is the season for austerity measures, which our honorable Prime Minister has also said, and there are several challenges that our country is facing. But we know one thing: whenever anything such as austerity measures and other things are announced, the first thing that may get affected is something that you have to take from the government, which in this case is a refund. Now, in general, we had seen that refund from time to time. Lot of it was streamlined, but there's still several issues which still remained. And especially now with the state government coming up with 1A, it just asked for several redundant details. But it is what it is, and we have to deal with it. The business goes on despite of all the challenges that are faced. So that is why I'm actually very thankful to the speaker, Dipali madam, to have accepted this invitation to speak on. Basically, the topic is such, the way we have thought about the topic is such that she'll speak about the issues in relation to inverted duty structure and also give some focus on, what I mean, the 1A circular. The 1A circular is impacting a lot of people, but the thing about 1A is that it is just asking a lot of details, and that is creating a lot of trouble. In fact, when I recently went for an outstation seminar to Jalgaon, over there also a lot of people were facing trouble with regards to 1A. So all the people who are see, with regards to LNR, we are also preparing like a representation. But I would request everyone who is listening here, if they have actual delays that they are facing because of 1A, and seeking compliance which is more than what is required, I would request anyone who is online and also offline, whatever are your issues, please send it to Umang Talati, and the LNR team will ensure that a representation which helps everyone and brings out the issues will be taken up. But without taking any further time, I welcome all the participants. There are a lot of participants who have come here today physically also, and also the ones who are present online. Thank you, and happy learning.
Before we begin,
I would like to formally introduce our learned speaker today, CA Deepali Mehta. Her area of practice is predominantly indirect tax and GST. She is the founding partner of Mehta and Shah, a chartered accountancy firm engaged in providing services in the area of taxation, advisory, and accounting. In the area of direct as well as indirect taxes, she received the Best Group Leader Award for the year 10, 11, and 14-15 at the Intensive Study Circle held by our very own association GSTPM. She was also awarded the Best Column Writer for 18-19 and an appreciation memento for dedicated contribution to our review from 2019 to 2021-22. She also received the Best Paper Writer Award for paper on exports and out transactions at the RRC of GSTPM for financial year 23-24. She is co-opted member of the GSTPM committee, the indirect tax committee at the Chamber of Tax Consultant, and she's a regular speaker at various CPE study circles, Chamber of Tax Consultants, GSTPM, and our coaching class. She also has administered training to the administrative personnel of corporates on procedural aspects on complying with the indirect tax law. With this brief introduction, I request everyone to welcome our speaker, CA Deepali Mehta. I would request our chairman, Pranav to offer her a small memento. With this, madam, the floor is yours. Pranav, if you would like to say a few words.
Good afternoon, everybody. President of GSTPM, office bearers on the dais, learned faculty for the session, Deepali Ben, past presidents sitting in the library over here who have come for the study circle meeting, the members present over here and the members online. A very good afternoon to all of you. Although we are facing summer heat, it's good to come here physically and attend the session. And I'm really very happy that there are many more people as compared to earlier who have started coming for the physical study meetings. And I'm sure that this trend will increase and continue in the years to come. Well, as regards the topic for today, inverted duty structure, the topic is not new. The issues have been there right since the inception and have continued till date. The working capital of the taxpayers gets blocked because of the inverted duty structure. The government has tried in GST 2.0, especially in September 2025, to remove so many anomalies of inverted duty structure and especially the textile sector. But along with the changes in tax rates, this has given rise to new companies which are getting covered under the inverted duty structure, and the difficulties have again increased because of this internal circular 1A which has been issued by the department, and hence taking refund is becoming more cumbersome and more time consuming for the taxpayers. And I'm sure we have a very good faculty over here who will guide us into with all the intricacies of inverted duty structure and help all of us to get the refunds faster. So wishing you all a happy learning and all the best to you, Deepali. Thank you.
President Sir Parth Badeka, Chairman Sir Pranav Bhai, the conveners of this committee, the office bearers, and the audience present here, and the audience present online. First of all, my heartiest thanks to GSTPM for giving me this opportunity. Giving a presentation here at the study circle is always a dream for every professional, and thank you so much for making me achieve it. And that too, the subject of refund, which is one of my core subject. I have been given this subject ever since I have entered GSTPM in coaching class, in also intensive study circle. So refund is one of my favorite one. F5, yes,
You need
yes,
to
yes.
share it on Zoom.
Acha.
Zoom.
Ama.
Share.
Screen is करी ना? है? दिख रहा है? हाँ, वो मैं करती हूँ. I'll do it, I'll do it. So basically, the agenda of this whole thing is, first of all, I will explain the concept of IDS. What is the meaning? What is the formula? How the formula was amended? The analysis, some judgments that which is VKC, the latest amendment about the provisional refund which the government has offered to the industry, then the internal circular, and how the internal circular is going to impact our refund application. So background of IDS is, what do you mean by inverted rate duty structure? So friends, inverted rate duty structure is not defined anywhere, but it is assumed that if your outward supply, the tax rate of your outward supply is less than the tax rate of your inward supply, it is automatically coming into a inverted rate duty structure. And why is this becoming more acknowledged by everybody is because of Section 54, where refund is being granted for this particular tax structure, because the credit gets accumulated in the credit ledger, and because of this the working capital of the businesses also gets accumulated in the credit ledger. So to relieve that, the government gave the facility of the refund of this credit which is accumulated in your credit ledger because of the inverted rate duty structure. Now, practically, if we look at the exports refund, their straitjacket formula, all the whatever is your net ITC, you are getting the refund. Looking into the formula, dividing between your export turnover and your total turnover. But inverted rate duty has a twist. If we look at Section 54(3) proviso, it says that where the credit has accumulated on account of the rate of tax on inputs being higher than the rate of tax on outward supplies, other than nil rated or fully exempt supplies, except supplies of goods and services which may be notified by the government on the recommendation of the council. So now if you see every word in this proviso, it carries a significance. Okay. There is a word input, because here in this proviso, they have very clearly said rate of tax on inputs being higher than the output. So this inputs is not input tax credit. It is inputs as defined in Section 259 of the CGST Act, which is a separate definition by itself. And it does not say that, it just says that inputs means the credit which you avail on your raw material or your packaging material, whatever material you purchase, the goods purchase, the inputs goods as defined, right? It does not contain input services. It does not contain capital goods, because input goods other than capital goods is very clearly defined in the definition of inputs. Then there is a phrase that in your output supplies other than nil rated or fully exempt supplies. Now there are cases, for example, the main thing is about this paper where the notebook is exempt, and when the printing paper which is specifically for notebooks is exempt, but when you are selling the paper you don't know where it is going to be used for, so the industry is levying full rate of tax, which is 18%. In this case, because of the exempt supply, the credit gets blocked. But the ITC is not available for exempt supplies, nor any refund is available. So when your output supplies is exempt, it is not an inverted rate duty structure, because inverted rate duty structure means something which is a positive rates. Both there should be input output should be taxable, and the ratio should be reversed. As well as it says, except supplies of goods or services which may be notified. That means there are certain goods or services which are notified for where this inverted rate duty structure is refund is not available, in spite of they fall into this inverted rate duty structure. So this is this notification 5 by 2017, which is amended so many times, like it is 29 by 2017, 44 by 2017, 29 by 22, which was a major notification where lot of hue and cry was raised because lot of commodities were exempted were removed out from this inverted rate duty refund structure. So major goods covered are vegetable oils and fats, coal, lignite and peat, woven fabrics, noted netting, fishing nets, imitation zari thread, corduroy fabrics, narrow woven threads, crocheted fabrics, railway locomotives, coaches, wagons, track fixtures, etc. So all these goods, inverted rate duty structure exists, but still the refund is not available to them. So for them, it is as good as taking the credit and keeping it in the credit ledger. They cannot use this credit for the outward supply. I mean, whatever they can be used, balance, the credit ledger will have the credit. Now, I have given this one example, which will be carry forward throughout the my presentation. So this example is of an ABC Paper Products Private Limited. They are into manufacture of writing and printing paper. Their place of supply is Maharashtra. Their HSN given is 48025600. In inverted rate duty structure, HSN plays a very important role. So you have to be very sure what HSN when you are making purchases, what HSN is given in your inward supply invoices, and when you are making an output supply, what HSN you are writing in your output supply. So HSN is very important as far as inverted rate duty structure is concerned. So type of supply is domestic as well as exports. What are the input goods which are purchased? Chemicals, which are taxed at 18%, caustic soda, again 18%, packaging material, 18%, coal and consumables, 18%. So total input goods taxable value is 400 lakhs, on which there is a 72 lakhs ITC on the input goods. The input services which this industry avails is freight and transport, which is around 4 lakhs, security services 1 lakh, and consultancy and technical is 3 lakhs. So total input service ITC is 8 lakh rupees. Now domestic sales within India is 800 lakhs, where the output supply is 40 lakhs, and export sales is zero rated, which is 200 lakhs, and the output supply is zero because they are made under LUT. Now, as far as our presentation is concerned, as far as today's this study circle meeting is concerned, we will not look into the export side at all. We are only going to look into the IDS. Height, हाइड करी ना कुछ. हाँ, it's good. So what are your eligibility conditions for your input structure? Okay, there has to be a taxable supply. The taxable supply should not be an exempt supply. So taxable supply. Then input tax rate should be higher than your output GST rate. So in our example, the taxable supply, which is paper, which is taxable at 5%, then the input tax rate is higher, which was 18%, as I said earlier, chemicals, caustic soda and all. There should be accumulation of unutilized ITC. This is very important. There should be accumulation of ITC in your credit ledger. If there is no accumulation of ITC in your credit ledger, then you are not eligible for any refund, even if you are falling under this IDS structure, because there are times when there is a mixture of your output supply, inverted rate duty as well as non-inverted rate duty structure. In such a case, the ITC of the inverted rate duty structure gets utilized against your other output supply. So in that scenario, there are cases there may not be any ITC accumulated in your credit ledger. Then you cannot apply for the refund. So accumulation of ITC is very important. Not restricted through any notification, which we discussed earlier, notification 5 by 2017. All the returns should be filed. Your ITC should be reflected in GSTR 2B as which is now a compulsion thing by way of 16(2)AA. The claim should be within time, that is section 54, which says that you have to claim your refund within 2 years of your relevant period, relevant date. And for IDS, the relevant date is the due date of your return file for that particular tax period. So for example, you are claiming a refund for March 2026, then your due date is 20th April 2026, and 2 years from there, so you have the time till 19th April 2028 to file your refund application. So within 2 years. No supersession or fraud. The ITC for which you are claiming the refund should not be fraudulently achieved, or it should not be covered in that NGT, non-genuine taxpayers. So all this care needs to be taken. So if all this is yes, or all this is tick marked as yes, then you are eligible for claiming the inverted date IDS refund. So now, what is the history of this IDS refund? Because there are a lot of amendments, lot of litigation in this IDS refund right from the beginning. First of all, initially the formula given was maximum refund was net ITC into turnover of inverted rate supply divided by the adjusted total turnover minus the tax payable on such inverted rate supply. So what was happening was, and net ITC was defined as ITC availed on your input goods, and you had to remove those ITC which you are claiming a refund under 4A 4B. Now this 4A 4B was removed because the 4A 4B itself was omitted from the rules, that is 89 4A, 89 4B. And there were judgments, because the input services were not covered in your net ITC, people went into the litigation. The Gujarat High Court VKC footsteps judgment, they gave a very good judgment stating that the section 54 is starting by refund of unutilized credit. Okay, so when it says unutilized ITC, input tax credit covers everything, input tax as well as input services as well as capital goods. So input tax credit covers everything, and below proviso it just states that what is inverted rate duty. Matlab, there they are saying that your input rate should be higher than the output rate of supply. So the Gujarat High Court, they analyzed this and stated that the refund of input services also should be available. Now, this was again litigated because simultaneously Madras High Court has an alternative judgment which stated that no input services should not be available, and 89(5) Rule 89(5) formula stands. It is not ultra to the constitution, ultra virus. Thus, the matter went to the Supreme Court, which I will take it in the next slide, that how the Supreme Court analyzed everything. Here, the formula is given for the reference, that what is the latest formula, that is turnover of inverted rate supply of goods or services. That means whatever inverted rate supply you are making an outward supply, that turnover should be your numerator, divided by your adjusted total turnover. That means your total turnover as per the state plus the taxable turnover of your services. So all this should be added. In this, export turnover also should be included. All your turnover should be included. So in our example, which we stated earlier, there was 800 was the domestic supply and 200 was your exports. So for us, the definition will be 800 divided by 1000, right, into net ITC. This net ITC is defined stating that it should be ITC of inputs only. So as we go in our example, it was 72 lakhs. We'll go into the next slides. There I have given the definition. Minus this tax payable and divided by ITC availed on inputs and tax services. This is a very important thing that I will explain by way of this example. Now, if you will see in the example, step 1. Step 1 is turnover of inverted rate supply into net ITC divided by the adjusted total turnover. Net ITC means ITC of your inputs only, which in our example was 72 lakhs. So 800 into 72 divided by 1000, which is coming to 57.60. So technically, this is the refund you are eligible. Okay. And in your credit ledger, the accumulated ITC is of 40. Then the next is the step 2, which is tax payable into net ITC divided by the not total ITC, it is the ITC availed on inputs and input services only. Mind well, capital goods is not considered anywhere. Okay. So your inputs and input services, inputs was 72, input services was 80. Now, why is this definition taken like this? Earlier, that divide by ITC on inputs and input services was not there. The reason being that when in the numerator, you are taking the ITC of only inputs. When you are subtracting the tax payable of output supply, this output supply, when you are utilizing the ITC, you are utilizing the ITC of both inputs as well as input services. So to that extent, the refund was getting reduced. And with this amendment, the refund is getting increased. So the government has given a fair chance to IDS so that they get a proper refund. See, in VKC footsteps, Supreme Court said that 89(5) stands, but they mentioned that the formula has an error because of this particular thing. Because when your output supply, when you are minusing, it contains the inputs as well as input services. So that needs to be rationalized, and that is the reason this formula was amended. So if you will see here, 40 into 72 by 80, that is 36. So net refund which you are getting is 21.60. Earlier, if you had considered this, that 57.60, then 57.60 straight away minus 40. Then you would have got a refund of 17.60. But because of this change of the formula, you are getting a refund of 21.60, which is 4 lakhs more than what you were earlier getting. So this amendment was a beneficial amendment if we say that 89(5) is constitutionally valid. Now, I have already explained what are the inclusions in the net ITC and what are the exclusions, which is in from our example, the raw materials, packing materials, consumables, store and spares are included in your net ITC. Excluded is your transport and security, consultancy, freight, capital goods. All this is excluded. Even your ITC transferred under section 18.3, that is your ITC 02. Now this ITC 02 gets directly accumulated in your electronic credit ledger. So that is the reason it cannot be counted in your net ITC because you are not taking it through 3B. You are taking it to another form. So that particular ITC, though it is accumulated in your credit ledger, is not counted while you are calculating your refund application. Also, the blocked ITC, which is section 17.5, that also is you're not eligible to claim the refund. So all this ITC you have to remove before calculating the net ITC for your refund calculation. Now, adjusted total turnover, what are the inclusions and exclusions? Inclusions mein there is domestic taxable turnover, export turnover, supplies under LUT and other interstate exports, that is IGST paid or interstate turnover. Exclusion are exempt supply, turnover for which refund is claimed under Rule 89.4A and 4B, which is now not relevant because whole 89.4A, 4B have only been scrapped out. So from this, your key takeaways are that total ITC accumulated may be high, but the refund under 89.5 is lower only because you are getting the refund of inputs only. Right. So total accumulation was 40 lakhs. Out of this 21.60, you are getting the refund. But the fact is that this is also a good thing because the earlier formula was even faulty. You were getting even less refund than what you are getting now. Main reason is, so care should be taken why applying for the IDS refund documentation is very important, which I will cover in your next slide. Okay. And at the same time, key takeaways, it is there in my slides, which I have already explained, so I will not go into detail there. Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
Probably I'm a bit digressing, but just can you please go to the...
Yeah, just a second. Yeah.
While considering the exempt supplies, so there is a mechanism ITC on route. Sorry. So for reversal of ITC in Rule 42, there is one mechanism for calculating exempt supplies, especially for investments, which is 1% of the sale value. So in this calculation also, do we consider that exempt supplies or
exempt supplies are not to be considered? In that adjusted total turnover, you do not have to consider the exempt supply.
Calculation of turnover is on the sales side. Correct? So that is separate things.
Yeah.
ITC का जो multiplication कर रहे हो, that is net ITC. Net ITC is after all deduction. तो आपको net ITC लेना. But turnover में it is not your outward turnover.
But do we take it as aggregate average turnover?
In aggregate turnover, you do not have to include the exempt supply turnover. So they are 1% investment turnover, which is your exempt supply, that you do not have to include in your adjusted total turnover.
So under section 17 only,
Okay.
and it cannot form part of your outward. You are not supplying mutual fund service or securities. So it cannot form a question of.
Yeah, it is not the question of your.
Yeah, but my question was that only, whether it is restricted to only that section or it will
No,
apply?
it is restricted only to ITC. It is not your outward supply turnover.
Thank you.
September 2025 changes, whereas Pranav Bhai mentioned that although there was a lot of inverted rate duty were converted into a normal rate structure, but at the same time there were new industries which came into the picture. The major industries affected were the paper and the corrugated box industry, the paper and stationery industry, notebook exercise, pen, ballpoint, neem segment to some extent. And so these are the industries which were majorly affected because of the September 25 changes. And now these are the industries who are claiming the IDS refund. Because the corrugated cartoons are 5% and your input paper, crafted paper or coated paper is 18%. So hence you get huge credit accumulates here. But here also the input services, which is the job work, which is the basis of all the paper industry, that job work ITC, you are not getting the refund because it becomes a service. So only the paper which you are purchasing and whatever other inputs you are purchasing, that refund only you are eligible. So now we move on to refund filing. So for refund filing, what are the documentations which is required, which is very important for IDS refund? In exports, generally, as you all are aware, if you have the export documents well documented and ITC document, only you are required to submit the purchase details. Here in IDS, there is a lot more further thing. First of all, there is form RFD01, which is common for all refunds. There is this statement 1A. Now, this is a very difficult task to fill up this statement 1A because there are lots of errors. Now, this statement 1A, it takes all the output supply from your GSTR 1. Okay, so in your GSTR 1, whatever point also you have given, that point also needs to be get covered in your statement 1A. And statement 1A contains both output supply as well as inward supply. Right. And now post this 16(2)AA, input supply, whatever you put, that the system is matching with your GSTR 2B. So even if there is a point difference in your inward supply, the statement 1A will carry error and it will not be validated. So filling up statement 1A up to the mark without any error is very important. So exactly what has gone in GSTR 1 and exactly what is there in your 2B, the same figures, the same invoice numbers and the same GSTN should be there in your statement 1A. Then you have to reconcile your 1(3)B for your outward turnover, because many times your 1(3)B itself are not reconciling. So that has to be reconciled before applying for the refund. Your purchase register should be reconciled with your 2B. Whatever is there in your 2B, that only can be claimed in your net ITC. You might have claimed more ITC in your 3B. Okay, but that does not mean you have to claim the exact same ITC while you are giving the IDS refund, because see, whatever you have incorporated in 3B, that all needs to be taken. From that, whatever is reflecting in 2B, whatever you are not eligible, all that ITC needs to be excluded before applying for this refund. Then you have to incorporate the formula and accordingly you have to then derive your refund. Here, the main thing is there is a new Annexure B format, a very recent advisory. I think I have not gone through that advisory, so I will not comment on that, but I'm aware that there is a recent advisory on Annexure B. There is some new format available. But HSN wise input and output needs to be mentioned when you are filling up that Annexure B. Why is an HSN so much important? Because of the basis of the refund is only because you are falling into an inverted rate duty. So that is the precise reason mentioning HSN in your documentation is very important. And with this internal circular 1A, this is going to be more stringent. So it is advisable that even when you are considering huge refunds, HSN wise input and output has to be mentioned. Your bank details obviously has to be there. Your bank needs to be verified. On the portal, there is a tab in your My Profile for verification of a bank account. That also needs to be verified, because if it's not verified, again the refund application gets stuck. You have to give the undertaking declaration and the supporting documents, which are, or which as already I have mentioned. So filling up the refund application up to the mark has become very, very essential. And after this internal circular 1A, where the officers are also being held accountable, they are going to be much more stringent, or and not as lenient as they were before, because even when they are putting any remark, they have to mention the reasoning of putting any remark on your for giving the refund. So once your refund application is filed, are you relaxed? No. That is the starting point. Exactly. So ये तो सब इकट्ठा कर दिया, then you file the refund application. Harsh, now I'll get the money. No, that is not the case. Now we have to wait whether RFD 03 is issued. What is RFD 03? That is a deficiency memo. Deficiency memo the officer can issue for. They have to give a reasoning, obviously, but we all of us know the reason being given sometimes are very, very, you can say, not an appropriate ones, but nevertheless, once the deficiency memo is issued, RFD 03 is issued, here the refund application itself, you have to apply once again. The old, that means the refund application is deficient, you have to apply the whole refund application once again. The moment RFD 03 is issued, whatever ITC which was debited from your electronic credit ledger, that gets credit back automatically. And then again you have to apply for the new application. Now in this, for counting the 2 years ka period, this particular period of issuing the issuing RFD 03 and applying again, that period is not counted. So for the 2 years, that gap of your from your application date till the issuance of RFD 03 and you apply again, that much period is not counted for the 2 years. So that much benefit is given. Chalo, RFD 03 nahi issue you get the RFD 02. That is the first step, that your refund application is acknowledged by the officer. So that is the first gain for you. Then the application will be scrutinized by the refund officer. If he finds any problem, of course, he'll issue RFD 08. And nevertheless, they are going to issue RFD 08 because many clarities are not available, because there are limitations to uploading of forms, to uploading of, and there are MBs which you have to fulfill, that you cannot upload beyond certain MBs. So many times bulky files do not get uploaded properly. And then when you compress it, they are not legible, not in a readable form. So the officers generally issue RFD 08. Moment this notice is issued, you have to reply to this notice. You have to appear in for hearing also in person to this notice if called for in the notice. That also the officer has to mention in the notice, and very clearly the reasoning has to be given now, because he is accountable for each and every reason given. And hence, and when I'll come to this one, internal circular 1A, I'll explain why he is accountable and why this reasoning needs to be given. So once this RFD 08 is applied for, officer is satisfied with your reply, he will issue the refund. He may issue full refund, he may issue part refund. If he is issuing full refund, yes, you have got your ITC full back in cash. But if they reject some part of the refund, then to that extent, if you are not going into appeal, the rejected refund again gets credited back to your electronic credit ledger. So nowhere your ITC is lost. Either it is in your credit ledger, only thing is you're not getting in cash, which can be used for your working capital. So this is what is about the refund. Now, for the part refund which is rejected, you have to file a form PMT 03 also. So this is the, you can say, how the process of inverted rate duty structure is carried out. Here, they are going to verify your annexure be very, very narrowly with all the HSN. Then you have to submit purchase invoices to them, some top 10 parties, so that they will verify. That all thing is now going to be compulsion because of the internal circular, which I will. There is one beneficial amendment in this recent budget where earlier only exporters used to get that 90% provisional refund. That provision was there. How many are giving, not giving are still a question mark. Still, you are eligible for the 90% refund. Now for IDS also, this 90% refund is available only if you are falling in a low risk category. Now, what do you mean by low risk category? Means you have never been issued a notice for NGTP, non-genuine taxpayer suppliers का notice आपको आया नहीं है. Then they have to, when they are giving this 90% refund, they have to give a reasoning for giving the 90% refund. Because that the taxpayer is eligible for the 90% refund. For that also the officer has to give a reasoning. So how much this refund will come, that is still a question mark. That reason is given in this internal circular, that what is low risk, what is high risk and everything. So that I will take up as I will do the analysis of the circular. Here at present, 90% is available if you are falling into that low risk category. Earlier, this was not there. So that's a very, very beneficial amendment. This I have already explained that once order is sanctioned and if it is rejected, how it has to be treated. Now this VKC footsteps. Why is this judgment so important? As I mentioned earlier, what was the Gujarat High Court judgment? Then there was a absolutely opposite Madras High Court judgment. And then the case went to the Supreme Court. Now, how did the Supreme Court analyze? Analysis that, first of all, the background of the case, I have already explained. What was the core dispute, which is the point 2. Assess's view was that you should be getting the refund of input goods as well as input services. Department's view was only input goods is available, input services not available. So the core issue in front of the Supreme Court was whether ITC on input service is refundable and whether 89.5 is ultra virus or not. So the relevant provisions which were considered in the judgment was section 54.3, the proviso and the rule 89.5. 54.3, as I explained earlier, it very clearly says any unutilized input tax credit at the end of a tax period where the inputs on the inward side is higher than your output tax supply. Okay. So proviso through 3 says refund allowed where accumulation occurs due to rate of tax on inputs being higher than the output supplies. Then there is this formula and you have to apply the formula. So now the taxpayer's argument was that since 54.3 starts with any unutilized ITC, it means ITC contains both inputs as well as input services. Proviso only defines the eligibility of refund. That was the taxpayer's argument. That the proviso defines why you are eligible for the refund, not that you have to take that into the formula. And after availment, the ITC goes into one common pool. We all know all the ITC accumulates into the electronic credit ledger where it is not bifurcated into inputs, input service, capital goods. Okay. Then 89.5 is ultra virus as it restricts the statutory refund granted by section 54.3. This was the taxpayer's argument, which was accepted by the Gujarat High Court. Now, how did the Supreme Court view it? That refund is a matter of statutory prescription. Legislature can restrict the refund only to goods. The registration has the power. 89.5 is constitutionally valid. And courts cannot write the fiscal policy or the substitute their own interpretation. So what the judge said, that since it is mentioned in the act, because of that proviso where very clearly the word inputs is mentioned and inputs is separately defined in the act, that means what is there in the formula is correct because it is taking from the section. So, and the courts cannot alter the section, or courts can either struck down the section. I think Parth will be a better person to say what courts, because I am not a lawyer, I cannot say. But I think Parth, courts can only struck down the section, right? They cannot amend the section, right? Right. But they cannot make any amendment, changes. Right. So here, since they cannot read it down, they said the section they cannot amend, it will be the fiscal policy's decision. But as far as VKC footsteps is concerned, the formula is valid. 89.5 is also constitutionally valid. The only thing is that there is a defect in the formula which needs to be corrected, because as I said earlier, the tax payable which is going to be reduced contain the element of both inputs and input services. So that benefit the government gave by amending the formula post this judgment. So practical impact: input services refund denied, capital goods refund denied, refund amount reduced because input services, working capital blockage increase, yes. The affected industries, whosoever industries are there in the IDS. For the practitioners, it is that final choices are not automatically unconstitutional. Legislative classification in tax matters is generally upheld. Courts do not substitute policy views. And they have, if they want to go for IDS refund, they have to ensure that monthly IDS working is prepared, 2B is matched, and also they should be ready to go for into litigation with proper documentation if required. Now, there was one circular 135 by 2020, which stated that for refund of inverted rate duty structure, if your inward and outward supply both are same, then the refund is restricted. Because of this, many again litigation was there because of this circular, because the department people refused to give the refund. So this Shivaco Associates and South Indian Oil Corporation, these two judgments are related to that, where input and output supply is same, but only because of some concessional rates, IDS is there, inverted rate duty is there, and because of this credit is getting accumulated. So here the court said that the circular cannot override the law, first of all. The first thing is that in section or nowhere it is mentioned that inward and outward supply, if they are the same, then you are not eligible for the refund. It only states your tax rate of your input supply and your tax rate of your outward supply. If that input supply tax rate is more than your output supply, you are eligible for the refund. So in the case of Shivaco Associates, what was that? They were purchasing LPG in bulk. Now, when you are purchasing LPG in bulk, the tax rate is 18%. And they used to sell to the consumers in that cylinder, which the tax rate, government has given concessional tax rate of 5%. So because of this, there was a lot of credit accumulated. The assessing officer obviously denied the refund because outward and inward, the HSN was same. But because of that circular also 135 by 2020, then because this was the Kolkata High Court judgment where the judge said that the circular cannot override the act and they are eligible for the refund. So even if your outward and inward supply is same, you are still eligible for refund, provided your tax rate should be, input tax rate should be higher than the output tax rate. In Southern Oil Corporation, what it was, that inward outward tax rate was also same. They had input tax edible oils 5%, output tax edible oil 5%. But they had other inputs whose tax rate was higher. So main commodity inputs and output was same, but there was other inputs for which they were used to provide the output edible oil, which tax rates were higher. So again, here the officers denied the refund, but the judge said that inputs does not mean only the inputs, which is the output supply. This was not trading. When you are purchasing edible oil, you are doing some process to make it an output supply. So whenever you are doing some process, and when it is not direct trading, then you have to consider all the inputs and not only one input. So even if your other inputs are having tax rate, you are still eligible for the IDS refund. So what are the two key takeaways from these judgments? First is that your inward rate is more, but your outward rate has been given a concessional rate by the government. You are eligible for the refund. At the same time, when output input is same, but in spite of that, there are certain inputs which are used in the process of the output. If their tax rate is same, still you are eligible for the IDS refund. Now we come to the internal circular. Just give me 2 minutes. First of all, thanks to AI for the slides.
From your previous discussion, that reassembling of goods is not actually trading.
Reassembling of goods, it depends, na? It depends what are you think that this was particularly for this edible oils, where Shivaco Associates में क्या था कि because the LPG concessional rate was given by the it is trading only, purchasing LPG, selling LPG, but only thing is because they are packing it into the cylinder, and the cylinder LPG, there is 5% tax rate outward supply. So that is the reason they were getting the inverted rate duty. No. Nana. Even if it is trading here, the main thing was the government has given a concessional output rate. That was the precise reason inverted rate duty was possible. Yes, merchant exporter sale is also covered in the IDS.
India.
Yes. There is a circular for this also. Yes. So now we move on to this internal circular, which is the controversy now. And I really request the LNR committee, we really need to make a representation for this. बना के दे देगी, as you say, Umang sir. So this internal circular was issued on 14 January 2026, but it was not published anywhere on the site. It is only when that the officers started, not processing the refund and holding up the refund, giving the queries and all, that was the time everybody came to know that this internal circular has been issued. And they were not ready to give us the circular also. Like, because my refund of 46,000 rupees, and that too of pre-deposit, was held up because in 1718, in that tax comparison statement, the GSTR1 has more output supply than 3B. So, yeah, 17. Exactly. And they are saying 76 has no limitation. So we can, issue a notice on the 76 and and frankly speaking, for 46,000, now the SSC will have to pay much more than what it is because he's not remembering what happened in 1718. No, 76, section 76, there is no time barring. That is the main problem. And for 46,000 also the refund went to the higher authority only because of this circular. नहीं गया रहता तो मिल जाता था अभी. Sorry, I cannot. Okay. This is recorded, right? So we come, what is this circular? Now here the tax officer is explaining to the assessee what is this circular. It is a strengthened risk-based approach for the GST refund processing. First of all is the risk matrix. The case which are actually likely to face extra scrutiny. First, refund after registration. This is going to always face extra scrutiny. First, refund after change in principal place of business. This is also going to face extra scrutiny. If your purchase is only from few suppliers, now this again is going to face extra scrutiny. Previous refund disallowance. If you have any previous refund disallowance, that also will face scrutiny. Refund period under investigation. So if you are applying for a particular refund period and for that, if any investigation process has already been started, then again, your refund is going to be held up. If you have a high value refund that is above 1 CR, if the system says you are a high risk taxpayer, then also you are facing. Then if your tax profile is showing NGTP or risky taxpayer, then also you are likely to face the scrutiny. So all these parameters are there which are going to face the scrutiny. Now, for the first refund after registration, they say physical visit will be compulsory to your place of business. Also, if it is a first refund after the change of principal place of business, physical visit will be compulsory to before giving the refund. And if you are falling in this risk category, there is supervisory approval, means the file will go to the higher authority for approval. There is pre-audit, post-audit. What do you mean by pre-audit? Means pre-audit, post-audit means you will be issued notice under section 65 for audit of that particular tax period. When you are claiming the refund and you are falling in this any of this risk category, and if the officer feels so, he will pass on the file to the audit authorities, and there will be pre-audit means before giving the refund they will carry out the audit. Post-audit means after giving the refund, if they find any leukemia, then they will also again issue post-audit. Yes. To the audit, yes, to the audit division. And then the audit will be carried out. There will be additional document scrutiny, which is there at present also, but that is still fair enough. Now they have defined monetary limits for refund processing. If it's a state tax officer, that is STO, he cannot process refund beyond 10 lakhs. So if your refund is above 10 lakhs, automatically the file will get transferred from your, suppose your nodal officer is an STO, the file will get transferred from the STO to either assistant commissioner or deputy commissioner. Then an assistant commissioner, that is AC, they cannot grant refund beyond 25 lakhs. So assistant commissioner has the power from 10 lakhs to 25 lakhs, or directly if your nodal officer is an assistant commissioner, directly from rupees 1 to 25 lakhs, the assistant commissioner has the power. Beyond 25 lakhs, the file goes to the deputy commissioner. For a deputy commissioner, there is no limit. He can grant refund to any amount. But if your refund is more than 50 lakhs, the file goes for approval to the joint commissioner. So this is what is given in this refund circular 1A, that first of all, there is monetary limits defined. There are risk metrics defined in the circular. Per refund application. Yes.
As far as
Yes, you can split, you can define as you like, but these are the monetary limits which are defined, which is provided in the circular, so that then you can claim the refund accordingly. That is your independent strategy.
Hello. Madam, as far as this DC power is concerned, Madam, as far as this DC power is concerned, whether it is independently or jointly power.
I did not get it. Independently or
Is
jointly?
empowered by independently or STO, assistant commissioner and deputy commissioner will.
See, once you do your refund application, if your refund application is about 25 lakhs, from the STO, suppose your nodal officer is an STO, from his desk, automatically the refund will get transferred to the backend refund audit preview division for approval. From that division, it will get transferred to the DC of that nodal officer. Your nodal division will remain the same, but the file will get transferred to the DC. Now, suppose your nodal officer itself is a DC, then it will be there only on his desk only. That
will not be a joint power.
No.
Independent power.
Yes. So now they have given time limit. So what are the general instructions? First of all, when you are making the refund application, to check whether all the refund application is complete in all aspects, the officer first have to check that. Then they have to check the amount. Moment that amount is more than 10 lakhs or whatever, the file goes away from his desk. And that will be automatic. And the time given is that this process they are going to carry forward. 1 second. Every first and fourth working day of every week. Yeah. So this transfer, once you make the refund application, then first and fourth working day of every week, this transfers will take place automatically. So from if it is more than 25 lakhs, it will straight away go to the backend audit preview. From there, it will get transferred to the DC wherever it has to. So how you make the application is also very important, because this transfer will only happen on first and fourth working day. They have very clearly said working day. So again, if it's a holiday, so that fourth will go, and then next first working day of the next week. So how you make, when you make your refund application is also very important, because till that time you will not come to know to whom your refund application is going to go. Yes.
15 days.
Yes. RFD 02 will be issued only by the DC level, to whom the refund goes. The STO does not have the power. So, the refund application Kia, it will wait till that first and fourth working day. The transfers will take place. And thereafter, thereafter deficiency memo, RFD 02, whatever is the process. So this was the transfer thing. Now, minimum documentation. So what are the minimum documentation which the department will ask from you? So first is purchase invoices. Top 25 purchase invoices by gross value on which ITC has been claimed, verified, and uploaded on your this application. Next is ITC reconciliation statement, where it will be reconciled with your 3B, 2B, and GSTR 9 also. If you are filing the application post GSTR 9, if prior to that, then your 3B and 2B and whatever refund you are claiming, everything has to be, reconciliation has to be given. So for example, you have claimed in 3B, say 80 lakhs ITC. Okay, and your refund application carries 40 lakhs ITC. You have to give the reconciliation of this 80 and 40 difference. That why you are claiming the less ITC than what you have claimed in your 3B. Then you also have to give the detailing of all reversals, 42, 43 reversals, your 17.5 reversals, whatever credit notes you have received on your inward supplies for which you have issued a debit note. Whether you have reduced the ITC for that, that detailing also needs to be given invoice wise. Then your adjusted total turnover reconciliation also needs to be given. So whatever turnover you are claiming in 3B, you are showing in 3B, that has to be reconciled with your adjusted total turnover of the refund application. So in 1 में जो turnover है, 3B में जो turnover है और आपका adjusted total turnover, that reconciliation needs to be provided while doing the application. There is one refund reduction statement which will be maintained by each processing officer for every ARN processed. Okay. And they have to very clearly mention reasons for reducing the refund. Why they have reduced the refund, reason for that has to be given. Then all the officers must have to correctly verify the HSN statement. So whatever HSN statement, so if you will not give your HSN statement in the refund application, the deficiency memo might be given to you. So see to it that you give that statement while filing the refund application. So they have to correctly verify the HSN SSC codes, first of all, which is declared in your GSTR 1. That also they will verify. Your outward supply HSN will be verified from your GSTR 1 and your inward supplies HSN will be verified from your Annexure B statement which you will be sharing. This verification is recorded in an Annexure 12 format which the officer is already having, which is there in this circular. This document is the foundation for eligibility analysis, and the HSN must demonstrate that the input rate exceeds the output rate. Okay. Then there is one CUR, that is credit utilization report. The officer must prepare this CUR also. Why I am telling you all this thing is because if your refund application is rejected, you can get all these reports by RTI application, or at least you will get the reasoning for what he has rejected. And this will be helpful in your future applications also. Because even when the officer changes, he will be getting the access to all these reports. So before giving filing or giving you refund, they will be accessing all these reports and then refund will be issued. So ऐसा free नहीं होना है कि भाई officer change हो गया, so now things will change. So this
Officer can disallow refund based on my vendor's HSN also. Is that the power that he has?
Yes, if your Annexure B, see, not on the vendor's HSN. Your Annexure B should contain the HSN. Okay, when the officer verifies this HSN for your refund application after issuing your RFD 02, there are chances he will reject the refund if that HSN is not correct.
So that's not in my control. Still, he will do it.
Yes. So you have to see to it. See, inverted rate duty structure, the refund, HSN itself is the base for your refund. So if that is not correct, then you need to intimate your suppliers. So this CUR report consists of.
Madam, excuse. In our case, madam, already above 50 lakhs rupees refund is there, but then there is morally 40 days have passed. Now nothing has processed, nothing has come. When we went there in central, what they are saying is that the concerned officer is transferred, wait, then nothing coming in writing, nothing like that.
So you write a letter.
Yeah, there is a reason.
Because it is a 50 lakhs refund, you write a letter to the DC that you have applied for this refund in 40 days, because within 60 days of your issuing of RFD 02, they have to issue. So I think RFD 02 also must not have been issued.
Already,
right?
you know, time is getting consumed. No? Like,
so you write a letter to the DC, giving your AR and everything, and they'll reply. Yeah. So what is this CUR report? They have to prepare the opening ITC balance, ITC availed, Rule 42-43 reversal, ITC utilized against output liability, refund claim rejected, other credit availed, closing balance. So this CUR report has to be maintained by each refund processing officer. That's a different thing altogether. So if you will see that this internal circular, these are the main points of this internal circular, and they have to sanction the refund within 60 days of your RFD 02. And RFD 02 also actually needs to be issued within 15 days of your refund application. That is as per the rules. And if it is not issued, then you have to write a letter to the concerned nodal officer that the RFD 02 is not issued. Yes. They will go for audit. That is what I said, that if you are falling in that risk factor, you will be encountering that pre-audit, post-audit scenarios. And still that audit is not over. If it is pre-audit, you will not be issued the refund till the pre-audit is not over.
So one relevant period, it will be pre-audit also, it will be post-audit also for one relevant period. Is that so?
Either pre-audit or post-audit.
Either or.
Yes, either or. There cannot be two. But if they find out later that there was some issue in your refund, this thing, there are chances that post-audit might be there. If you fall in that risky category, then you are eligible. Then there is a question mark on what pre-audit was done. Because they also have done, they are mentioning their reasoning and everything. So obviously they will review that, and then only they might issue post-audit if they are not satisfied.
So if today any vendor is turned NGTP and I had taken a refund a year back,
then there are chances that, yes. 10 minutes. Okay. Done. So post refund proceedings, refund sanction case may still be reviewed later. Audit under section 65 may be triggered where significant refund rejection is there. So if you are claiming a refund of say 40 lakhs and the officer rejects almost 50% of your refund, post audit may be triggered. If there is ineligible ITC or wrong refund is issued, show cause notice in DRC 01 may also be initiated. Because if the officer feels later on that wrong refund was issued, if the higher authorities feel later on that wrong refund was issued, then SCN in DRC 01 can be issued. Documents should be preserved even after refund is applied for. Do not think that once the refund application is done and you got the refund, you are free. No, you have to preserve all the documents. Up to what period? Up to the time barring period of that particular tax period. Positive impact of this circular: better documentation standards. Matlab you are aware what all documentation you need to prepare and you need to submit. There is a uniform refund processing. Speaking orders with reasons. This has become a compulsion because every officer will be accounted for whatever reasoning, and disciplinary action will be taken against him if found that he has mentioned wrong reasons or reasons which are not called for. So this is a but this disciplinary action can be taken only if the complaint goes against him. So it is the duty of the taxpayer. If he feels that his refund has been rejected for wrong reasons, then he has to go and further pursue the matter. Greater officer accountability, clearer verification framework. Everybody is aware now because of the circular how your refund will be processed. Stronger audit trail and transparency. Okay, and what are the negative impacts? More scrutiny, even in small refunds. Just as I said, my only 46,000 rupees refund is held up. Possible delay due to approval layers. Okay. Higher documentation burden. Risk metrics may trigger escalation. Pre-audit, post-audit, of course, that also will prolong the closure of your refund application. And the officers may act conservatively. Right? So these are the basic impacts of the internal circular. So what are the suggested points? This is just a practical checklist before filing the refund. You have to, first of all, prepare the refund application up to the mark. You have to keep your payment proof ledger extracts ready because there are chances they might ask for that 180 days reversal proof and all. Reconcile the returns and your books. I will be sharing the presentation, so it's okay. Check limitation period. Verify the refund category carefully. Prepare legal note for order-based refund. So if your refund is rejected, whatever reasoning is given in your order, you prepare a legal note for them if you want to go into litigation. Maintain declaration of no duplicate claim. Keep your HSN SSC rate note wherever relevant. You track your RFD 02, RFD 03, RFD 08 timelines. This is very important because this is the basis where you can have your matter litigated further in your benefit. So if refund is delayed due to approval, file a written representation. Okay, so this is all suggested action points for your refund application. So what is the final conclusion which the internal circular says? That this applies to all refund categories, small, big, everything. Refund claim should be complete, self-contained and audit ready, which I have already told you. Framework is based on monetary risk metrics, monetary limits, risk matrix, supervisory approval, documentation, verification, pre-audit, post-audit, and officer accountability. This is your framework. Your internal control is necessary, but it should not defeat the statutory right of your refund. So if any time you feel that because of this internal circular, your statutory right is getting affected, you have all the right to write a written representation for that. So this is my example which I had given here, for which why it can go for scrutiny is what all things documentation which I've already submitted, and in spite of that, because of this internal circular, so my one LNR committee, one representation will be to put a limit on the refund amount which needs to go for a higher approval. So that for small amounts, the dealers should not be harassed. That's one. And if the department has missed the bus, they should gracefully accept it. So this is the refund journey. You just have to climb a small hill. That's it. Ek click, refund ho gaya. That is your expectation. But what is the reality? That you have to climb all this and you have to pass through all these checkpoints while climbing also. Yeah. That is RFD 01 Rule 89.5, to be match, input goods, no input service, HSN check, officer scrutiny, risk metrics, approval. And then also you're not sure whether you're getting the full refund or not.
If you talk about the representation part, so that's my view. Can we change the format of statement? Because
Statement?
Statement 1A is there.
You cannot change na uploading statement 1A. You have to be in the same. You can upload another statement 1A in your refund application. No, the format is correct.
स्टेटमेंट वन है ऑफिसर वो छोड़ के सब देखते हैं.
That. हाँ, exactly.
वो
Precisely.
स्टेटमेंट वन है ही नहीं देखते, बाकी सब देख लेते हैं.
But that's what I'm saying, na, that statement 1A cannot be changed. Whatever is going to be represented is going to be represented. तो अभी आपने ये पूरा फैंटेसी मूवी देखा about the refund under IDS, but it is always picture अभी बाकी है मेरे दोस्त. Thank you. बोलो ना. हाँ.
हम समझो मैं एक्सपोर्टर हूँ और मेरा आउटपुट जो प्रोडक्ट है दैट इज ए 12%, बट आई ऑल्सो गेट सर्टन इनपुट एट 18%. अभी एक्सपोर्ट का रिफंड मैं क्लेम करता हूँ तो मिल तो जाता है मेरे को, बट वो 18% के हिसाब से है ना, मैं प्योर एक्सपोर्टर हूँ, मेरे आई डोंट हैव एनी अदर थिंग. सो 18% के हिसाब से जो है ना, जो खरीदी किया ना पैकिंग मटेरियल एंड ऑल, उसका क्रेडिट रह जाता है. ओके.
कैसे रह जाता है?
वो क्योंकि
हाँ.
हाँ विथ पे किया ना तो वो रह जाता है कहीं.
अच्छा, विथ पे किया.
हाँ,
ओके ओके. आई
8%
थॉट कैसे रह जाता है. राइट.
उसको अभी मैं इन्वर्टेड ड्यूटी में उसका रिफंड क्लेम कर सकता हूँ क्या?
कर सकते हैं ना, विथ पेमेंट ऑफ टैक्स, बिकॉज योर आउटवर्ड सप्लाई is more than your input tax rate. Export.
उसमें ना प्रोविजन में देयर इज अ.
But taking IGST refund on exports is not 89 refund. Outward का refund दे रहे हैं ना वो.
It is a 90 refund. That is refund under rule 90.
हाँ, 89 में नहीं है वो. 89 में अगर 4A 4B में था तो वो एक्सक्लूजन था. ये वाला एक्सक्लूजन में नहीं है. नहीं नहीं, वो 100 थोड़ी ना क्लेम कर रहे हैं उमंग. They are not claiming that 100. They are not claiming 100 ना, वो 100 नहीं क्लेम कर रहे हैं. हाँ हाँ, they can do IDS refund. You can try. अगर आपका हो जाए तो सबको बोल दो. There is no debar in the law according to me. And Rahul, you are an much at a higher this thing. I know.
Madam, my client has first time come into this mechanism because of this inverted duty structure where they are corrugated boxes manufacturer. So refunds application have to be made starting from September onwards, 22nd September onwards.
Yes.
Okay. But then when we try to go for that, it is asking for refund application for earlier period also. So whether you have filed refund application for earlier period.
That is the error in the filing of refund application, which the portal has not yet corrected. So you have to file nil refund application.
For earlier period.
Yes.
Earlier period. So we can file for entire 1 year period for earlier period.
Yes.
But it will go in inverted duty structure only because that time we were not in inverted duty structure.
You should file. You have to go for there only. There is no other option available.
Because they are once
I agree.
category.
There is
they
a
are
problem.
asking for earlier period application.
Correct.
Okay. And
before they are asking na whether you are eligible for inverted rate duty structure earlier. If you say that no, then I think they are not asking. So you just check it out. I think they are asking when you are applying for the refund.
Secondly, do we have to upload purchase bills, sales bills also along with refund application?
If you are uploading, it is good. If you have that MBs available with you, it is good. But later on also they are going to ask from you.
Okay.
Thank you.
But in the same relevant period, when we apply, the amount gets debited from the bank, from the electronic credit ledger. When we apply,
The erroneous refund means I'm not able to get
I
you.
just give you the background. So
Haan.
when we apply, the amount gets debited.
Debited from your electronic credit
credit
ledger.
ledger.
Correct.
The money comes into the bank account.
Correct.
फिर आता है कि it's an erroneous refund.
हाँ.
Then I give the money back again to the department.
आपको रिफंड मिल गया?
मिल गया.
कैश में मिला?
कैश में मिला जो बैंक अकाउंट में आता है.
हाँ, तो फिर अभी
erroneous का पता चला कि it is erroneous.
हाँ.
So I refund it back.
Correct.
Along with interest.
Correct.
Now what happens to my amount which is debited from the electronic credit ledger?
This is a good point.
Yeah.
So, to Rahul Bhai's query, whether you
No,
can apply for that same specific export, समझो उतना ही export है जो आपने with payment किया. So in section 54 there is a restriction subject to so and so refund of unutilized can be allowed in only two categories, provided also that no refund of input tax credit shall be allowed if the supplier of goods or service or both avails drawback in respect of central tax or claims refund of integrated tax paid on such supplies.
हाँ, तो आपको नहीं
तो
मिलेगा
फिर
फिर.
नहीं मिल सकता.
रूल छोड़ो सेक्शन चलेगा. मेरे को तो पता है नहीं चलता.
तो मैं तो बोल रहा था नहीं मिलेगा.
Yeah. So I stand corrected, Rahul. There is a debar. Yeah, we'll find an answer. But at present, the law doesn't give the refund. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Madam, can we take some questions online?
Yes.
Just point for representation, please take it.
Madam, in this case, there is nominal sale and export sale. So then in the formula, whether export turnover will be considered in inverted turnover.
No, but now that's a debar, so obviously that cannot be considered.
फॉर्मूला में लेने का कि नहीं लेने का?
एडजस्टेड में लेने का ना. एडजस्टेड में आएगा, ऊपर नहीं आएगा. ऊपर नहीं आएगा, न्यूमरेटर में नहीं आएगा. That's right.
नहीं है, मेंशन नहीं है तो लिखने का, गिनती के लिए लिखने, बाकी मिलेगा. फॉर्मूला की शायद.
Yes.
Yeah, one question from Bhavin Mehta. Can the officer issue deficiency after period of 60 days from date of application?
No.
No. नहीं, but deficiency memo after 60 days means date of application का नहीं है. The officer can issue RFD 03.
So RFD 3
Yes,
can be
yes,
issued
they
by the
can
officer
issue.
even after expiry of 60 days.
Yes, because 60 days is. No, see, the 60 days period is from the date you receive the RFD 02. Then your 60 days period starts. Not after your refund application. Only after they acknowledge the refund application, then your 60 days period starts. So you should not wait for 60 days. Within 15 days, you should approach the officer and write a letter stating that what is the. Yeah, exactly. There is no movement.
Okay, another query from CA Mehul Mehta. Means if the principal raw material is at 18% and other raw material and some inputs are at 5%, both amounts are in the credit ledger and the output rate is 5%, how to analyze?
No, there is no analyze. You have to take the inputs, all the inputs. The ITC is, you have to consider all the inputs, 18%, 5%, everything. And then the formula accordingly will be. So the net ITC is ITC of all the inputs.
Total.
Yes.
One question, Manisha Deria, having input at 18% and certain at 12%, output is majority at 18% and little bit at 12%. Packing material in this case is one-to-one correlation needed for IDS refund.
No, I'm not able to understand the query. When output, input both are 18, 12, are they into trading and only packing material which they use?
The input is majority packing material in this case is one-to-one correlation needed for IDS refund.
So they are into trading basically. They are purchasing
looks
and
like
selling the
trading.
same goods at the same
Yeah.
rate.
Looks like trading. Yes.
Yeah. So if packing material, they are saying that they are having higher input rates. Matlab, I don't think so. Their refund will. You are qualifying.
Whether one-to-one correlation is required for any IDS refund.
Packing material 100 units, I bought this particular month, but my sales in this particular month, let's say only 20.
No, that is not required. If that is the case, yeah. नहीं, they are asking कि जो packing material purchase किया है, वो मैंने 12% में use किया है कि 18% में? Because packing material is 18% and I am selling the. And because packing material is 18% and my output supply is 12%, so she's asking that whether that 18% packing material towards that 12% one-to-one correlation is required. Yes, to that extent, that is required.
89, 4A और 4B तो निकल गया।
4A 4B नहीं है, मेरा पैकिंग मटेरियल 18% है और मेरा आउटपुट सप्लाई 12% है. So then again, I am eligible for IDS. Because one of the inputs is
a mixed output of 18 and 12 then.
तो you have to वही ना डालने का सबको ऑफिसर को प्रूव तो करना पड़ेगा ना विद डॉक्यूमेंटेशन. दे विल डेफिनेटली आस्क कि कौन सा पैकिंग. दे आर नॉट गोइंग टू अलाउ द ऑल द फॉर्मेट डजंट रिक्वायर. फॉर्मूला तो नेट आईटीसी और उसका जो डेफिनेशन दिया है वो हिसाब से कर दो.
Madam Bhavin Mehta wants to speak.
Yes.
Ma'am, with regards to my query, the facts of the case are it was an IDS refund for a corrugated box supplier, manufacturer. The refund was applied in the month of January, and the rejection order has come in the month of, not a rejection order, sorry, the deficiency memo has come in the month of May 2026. So it is far beyond, it is far beyond 60 days. Now,
Correct.
ideally, he had to give me RFD 02 within, say, 15 days, if I'm not mistaken, right? So within 15 days, he had to give me RFD 02, that is acknowledgement of the
Yeah,
refund.
but he has not issued and he has issued
Yes.
RFD 03 after in May 26, after this 4 months. gap.
Yes. This basically, I was following up with him. He was consulting his DC with regards to whether the refund is allowed.
See, at present, the thing is that either you can go into writ petition for this in the High Court stating that, they have taken so much time for RFD 03, because as far as the department level thing is concerned, you do not have any other option but to apply again. And the period from that January to May will not be counted in that 2-year limitation period. So as far as
That's-
law is concerned and department is concerned, this is the option available to you.
Okay.
There's an online question from Mahesh Sholapurkar of Pune. I was trying to upload statement 01A during validation. Documents were found invalid. Going through the error details, message received as refund has already been claimed for this document. Whereas this is the first application only for refund under inverted duty structure, which I want to upload. Issue has already been taken up with grievance, but without giving any solution. Ticket status found resolved. Please help.
File manually.
I know, tweet kar do.
File manually.
Yeah, you have to this, will not be able to give you the reply because this all portal errors. This document must have been gone somewhere in the earlier refund application. That's for sure, because वो pickup होता है. आपका पहले का refund application में ये same invoice number, same GSTN must have gone. वो आप check करो.
One question from Shankesh Jain. Whether officer can adjudicate on section 17(5) applicability of the input tax credit claims, where the claims of ITC are self-assessed? Does 54 allow officer to adjudicate on 17(5) on application stage itself?
Yes, of course, the officer has the power, and you have to, if whatever annexure B ITC, net ITC you have claimed, in that if it is 17(5) ITC is, then they have the power to adjudicate. Yes. Net ITC तो claim करना ही करना है. अरे, verify करना ही करना है.
One question by Rutvik Nagwekar. In export of services with payment of tax, can we file for refund if we have collected IGST amount from foreign recipient? Will it amount to unjust enrichment
This is-
since incidence of tax has been passed on? Kindly provide interpretation. of section 54(8) for the same.
So
Payment of the GST तो क्यों करेगा?
So, first of all, this question is not related to IDS.
Yeah. Correct,
Okay.
correct.
So I think we can take this offline.
Can we claim unclaimed refund due to Rule 89(5) in new application?
Matlab?
It just says, can we claim unclaimed refund due to Rule 89(5) in new application?
Unclaimed refund claim for the same period? That is not possible. Withdraw and reapply if it is not processed.
Okay, I think that's all for the day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ma'am, I have one query.
Huh.
Can I get the refund of stock in IDS? If my purchases are higher side than the sales? Higher side, there is a stock. That's why its calculation becomes that my purchases are higher and the
No, rate should be higher. Rate of tax should be higher than your output.
I'm fully in the IDS, but still my purchases are higher side, at a higher side.
हाँ, जब बेचोगे तब मिलेगा. You have to follow the formula.
प्रैक्टिकली क्या मेरा फर्स्ट ईयर है तो मैं स्टॉक मेरा जनरेट है ऐसा हो गया.
So thank you so much. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Coming to the pleasant task of the day, on behalf of GSTPM and all participants, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to CA Deepali Mehta. Ma'am, your talk today simplified the complexities involved and practical challenges faced by all of us while going through refund applications. You handled all of us through the new provisions applicable as per Circular 1A with a practical example in your PPT, which was really useful to understand the IDS refund mechanism. A big thank you for giving us not just the what of law, but also the how of handling it in real-time practice. I'm sure we all go back confident that the knowledge shared today with your help in our will help us in our practice and client advisory. I now request everyone to present this vote of thanks with a round load of applause for Sri Deepali Mehta. One important announcement, as every year, the GSTPM would like to award cash prizes to all children or members who have done academically well. So you are requested for all to all the student parents to submit their mark sheets to the GSTPM office. 10th, 12th BCom, 10th, 12th BCom as well as CA in the month of June. Felicitate, and they will be felicitated at the function also. Graduate, school, college graduate, postgraduate also. Thank you very much. Please rise for the national anthem. Jana Gana Mana Adinayak Jaya He Bharat Bhagya Vidhata Punjab Sindh Gujarat Maratha Davida Utkal Banga Vindhya Himachala Yamuna Ganga Uchala Chaladita Ranga Tava Shubha Name Jage Tava Shubha Ashish Mage Gahe Tava Jaya Gatha Janagana Mangal Dayak Jaya He Bharat Bhagya Vidhata Jaya He Jaya He Jaya He Jaya 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 He Bharat Bhagya